Welcome to My Best 11 podcast. Today we are joined by Northern Ireland international, who, if my research is correct, every time he scored for Northern Ireland, they did not lose a game, which is an incredible statistic. He also came through the Tottenham Academy, played for Luton twice, Sunderland, spent some time abroad, which is rare for somebody obviously in the 90s, in Nancy and Fortuna Sittard, as well as Burnley, Oxford, Stevenage and Maidenhead. Today we are joined by Phil Gray. How are you, Phil?
I'm not too bad, thank you, Andrew.
Fantastic. Marvin, how are you?
I'm good, Andrew. I'm good. Tippy, as we call him, because of PG Tips. Philip Gray is his initials, just for people quickly who don't know. Philip Gray's PG Tips, as Tippy is his nickname. So, yeah, we go back a long way from youth team days, probably playing against each other in the South East Counties and Youth Cup and Southern Junior Fudley Cups. So, yeah, and we've been friends ever since throughout our careers, or even to the time when he joined Luton on both occasions, and we got really close and hit it off there.
Fantastic. Did you know that? Is that statistic true, that you've never lost a game when you scored, Phil? Is that true?
Yeah, it is, but obviously I didn't score that many. I wish I had have. And we won more games. But I mean,
half a dozen's all right.
Half a dozen is not too bad. I mean, I would have liked to get double figures and things like that, and probably scored more goals. But I didn't really play as a centre forward when I played international. So I didn't. We normally used to play like one up front, and I would play in behind. So especially away from home, we'd play one up front that would be Ian Derry or Quinney or somebody like that, and I'd be the one that would be getting up to help him and then getting back to try and help out the midfield to make a five in midfield. So I did get a few goals, but I would have liked to have got more.
A goal-hungry striker. That's what we like to see.
Yes.
So talking of formations, what we're going to do is we're going to, in a second, we're going to start off with the formation. Those people who haven't listened to the pod before, what Phil's going to do is go through and name the 11 best players he's ever set foot on a pitch with. That's club and country as well. And as he goes through, he can have some honourable mentions, so he doesn't annoy too many people. Whether or not he cares or not, we'll find out. And also, as well as that, he'll go through and give us some guesses, so myself and Marv can embarrass ourselves by not guessing the players quick enough, unlike the people listening in their cars, on the tube, or wherever it is you are listening to this pod. So, straight over to you, Phil. What formation have you picked your best 11 to play in?
4-4-2.
Why? Yeah, why is
I think it's just because I was brought up more or less playing that when I first came into the game in the late 80s. It was 4-4-2. Obviously, things have changed. People sometimes, well, even now, they don't even play with a recognised striker and things like that. So I will stick to 4-4-2 because of that's the way I was brought up.
Excellent. So what we'll do is we'll jump straight into the goalkeeper, and I'll hand it over to you. Like I said, you can have some honourable mentions, but also make sure you give us some clues to see if we can guess.
Okay, I would say the first goalkeeper that I've probably played with, was obviously a long time ago. Obviously, he played a lot for England, but this isn't my pick.
It's not your pick.
No, this is not my pick. This is just an honourable one because I didn't play that many times with him. But obviously, the first one would have to be Ray Clements.
Yeah.
Obviously,
did he help you coming through as a young striker? Did he?
He definitely did. Yes, I mean, I can remember doing shooting practice with him, and I mean, like 2 inches wide. He'd be saying wide, hitting the post, hitting the bar, this, that, and the other. It would be his angles were scary. Then that's when I was 17, 18, doing shooting practice with people like that. But my goalkeeper, of which I will give you as a clue, is he was born in the same country as me, but obviously played for a different country.
Okay.
Go on, Andrew.
No, I don't know. Do you know what? I'm going to annoy
Just
some
say
people.
it. You always do.
All right. Shay Gibbon.
Correct.
See?
Yes.
See? Don't
Oh,
hold back.
No, because it was also that kind of the Republic versus the Northern Irish, and I didn't know. So he was born in Northern Ireland, was he?
He was born in Donegal. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that, Tip. I didn't know that. See? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Shay was
Wow.
born in Donegal. He came on loan to
Sunderland.
Sunderland.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think he stayed about 3 or 4 months. I think he stayed, and I would say the year we got promoted to the Premier League, that he was the big difference. He was a massive difference.
He was young as well, wasn't he?
He was only
young?
19, 20 at the time he came, and like we would go and play Leicester away and we'd be winning 1-0, and he'd be pulling off saves like I'd be like, that's in. And next minute he'd just be getting his fingertips to it, and I would say that he got us promoted that year. I know we had 11 players.
Alex spoke about him, Alex Chamberlain, did he?
Alex, another one, yeah.
Yeah, when he said that really got brought in Shay Given and didn't even really speak to Alex about it. Just like he knew, really didn't really fancy him, but he still obviously played a big part himself. He said, yeah.
Alex played probably 2/3 of the season.
Yeah.
And then obviously he had, for some strange reason, but that's what really was like. He done it to the people that he done it to himself. He done it to himself. So but I would probably say out of potentially when Shay was 19, 20, you could see that he was.
Was he still at Blackburn then, or was he at Blackburn, or was it?
He was at he was at Celtic first, because I can remember he was at Celtic first with Dalglish, and then Dalglish went to Blackburn and took him.
Right.
To Blackburn, and then he was only 19 at the time when he came to us. That's 19-year-old.
Yeah. But you reckon he single-handedly got you up, which is interesting in itself.
Well, I wouldn't say single-handedly, but massively. Yes, we would go, as I say, we would go into away games and win him 1-0, and he'd be man of the match.
Yeah. As a striker, do you look at on team sheets young goalkeepers who are maybe on loan from Premier League clubs and top clubs and think, I'm going to show you something today? Are you, as a striker, do you used to look at those young kids coming in rather than a seasoned pro and think, I can get my way with you?
Well, realistically, probably the young kids probably don't know the angles. As I said, Ray Clements was probably in his late 30s when I was there, and his angles were unbelievable. It's like he just knew every inch of the goal. Where the younger kids, their starting point and their adjustment within the goal would probably not be as good as things like that. Because I remember playing against Shaka Islop when he first went to Newcastle. He was at Reading, and I'd be thinking the ball's coming. Next minute he'd be on the edge of the box. I'm thinking, a normal older pro goalkeeper would not have been there at all, and if he's taking it off my head on the 18-yard box. I'd be thinking, God, how's he got there? But obviously Shaka went on to do great things at Newcastle and things like that, and obviously got better as he got older. So I think goalkeepers more mature. Obviously Shay got even better when he got older. When he went to Newcastle and things like that. So, but just that.
Another one I always thought you might, before I did my research, he was going to throw in, but I don't know if you actually played with him in the end, was Mike Taylor. Did you play with Mike?
I played with Mike a few times, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I played with Mike a few times international.
That's what I thought.
But then again, I had another one, was Tommy Wright.
Yeah.
For Northern Ireland. Tommy for Northern Ireland was unbelievable. He because we used to sometimes get absolutely battered by Germany and people like that, but Tommy would be pulling off saves left, right, and centre. But for my personal reason that I picked Shay is because that year we got promoted. Right. That for that 3 months, I think Shay only let in maybe 2 goals, and we went like games where it was unbelievable.
Yeah, I think Alec mentioned that. He goes, he's got no qualms with Shea. He said he was unbelievable. He said,
Yeah,
he was, Marv. As I say, the main one I can remember was Leicester City. I scored a penalty, and to be honest, they should have beat us 3 or 4. And I think it was Hemel Heskey was clean through, and he hit one, and I think the crowd actually thought it was in. And I don't know how Shea got down to it and tipped it round the post. Do not know. And I was actually directly behind it, and I saw that's a goal. Next minute, he's just, but. And Shea wasn't that big. He was only probably just under 6 foot. 6 foot or just under.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Agility was frightening.
So that's your goalkeeper. Let's go right back.
Right back. It's hard to say because I probably played with this right back more international, but people always thought he was more or less a
midfielder,
a centre half, but he used to play sometimes for Northern Ireland at right back. And Marv, you know him really well.
And you play with him at quite a few clubs. If I got the right player, is that right?
Have you tipped?
No, I played with him at one club.
Oh, so it's not Darren Patterson then?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna. No, Pats was up there, but this right back.
Andrew, that's a real good guess because he does normally play centre half, and he has played right back.
Yes, he played a right back, yeah.
But Marv, you should know this player because that's where he was recognised as a centre back. But I played a couple of times, and he played right back. Now he played till he was about 36, 37. He played for the same club as me and you.
Oh, do you know what? I've got this.
Oh, yes. I got it. His Pleaty had him, didn't he?
Yes. I think Pleaty put him at left back, didn't he?
Pleaty put him at left back. Yeah, you're right. Mal Donaghy?
Correct.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So you played with him at right back?
He played sometimes at right back for international, yeah.
How deep was your centre backs in Northern Ireland at the time? Well, you might give us some clues away.
Don't say that.
But to put Mal Donaghy at right back, played at United, Chelsea, the Mighty Hatters. Mm-hmm. That's going some. That's going some. So, wow. Did you think Mal was best suited there, or do you think it was a case of?
Mal was so calm and collected. Every time he always had time on the ball, Mal. Even when he was at centre half, and sometimes, and obviously, I think because we were not overloaded with centre backs for Northern Ireland, and we had some decent backs like Ian Noland and Patso, but in my younger days, you had like Nigel Worthington who played on the left, and you had God rest his soul was Big Mac and people like that. Do you know what I mean? And other centre halves. Sometimes we played 3 at the back, but sometimes I can just remember Mal playing right back against someone, and I remember thinking, Jesus, how is he? And we were playing, I don't know, I forget who we were playing, but he just had so much time on the ball, and it's just the positional play was outstanding.
Well, he could play anywhere along the back line. To be fair, he said that when we had him on, he said, he said that Mal could play. He played him at left back to start off with, but
did Pleaty put him up in his 11? Did he?
Yeah, at left back. Yeah.
Oh, did he?
Left back.
Okay, left back. Yeah. Let's see. He might have been a left back. I think he played right back.
But he did say he could play anywhere on the back line. He said
he did. I'm sure he played right back a few times.
Yeah,
sure
and especially if what you're saying is that Northern Ireland quite often play 4-5-1. You're not going to have defenders and fullbacks that are going to bomb on. If you've got, it's not that style of play if you're going to play that defensive approach. So the fact that you haven't got Mal bombing up and down doesn't matter as much.
Yeah, I could have put a couple of other internationals I played with. I could have put in there like Darius Kabiski at Sunderland.
Mm-hmm.
He played for Poland. Do you know what I mean? And I could have put in Fernando Rickson, God rest his soul, who I played with Fortuna, and he played for Holland at right back.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And as a young kid, there's a few in there, but just people like Mal, just, I mean, and he looked after me as well and things like that. It's international and things like that. It's just one of them people you look up to.
Right.
Fantastic. So left back, next to the other side of the pitch now.
Left back. This is a hard one because obviously I've got a good friend who's a good left back and a good left centre half and all, but I think I would probably go for left back. This lad was a young lad who I played with, and he came onto the scene probably the year that I left Luton. After the year I left Luton, he was a young lad. He's got the exact same surname as me. So played for England once or twice, I think. Any ideas?
Yes. Play for that team up north.
He did.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Don't think.
Yeah. Long blonde hair.
Yes.
Michael Gray.
Yeah, Mickey.
Correct. Mickey. Yeah.
He's underrated.
Very.
Do you know what I mean? And I think so many people have mentioned him who played for Sunderland and a few other clubs, but definitely he's come up on pretty much every player who's played for Sunderland in that early 90s, mid 90s time. I've mentioned Michael Gray. What is it about him that makes him stand out?
It was his energy.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, he was one of them ones where you think, and he was quite slender, Mickey, but he was just one of them sort of defenders that think, oh God, he would get the toe in, you couldn't get past him because he was quick, he was slender, he'd be running, he would want the attack more than defend. He always wanted, because when he first came into the team, he was playing left winger, left midfield. But I think it really looked at him and thought, you know what, he could probably do the both. So I think we ended up really playing him left back and moved Richard Ord into the middle of centre back and moved a few players about. And that's where Mickey ended up getting his caps for England, I think. I'm sure he got one or two, I don't know. But
I think he got one or two, yeah, he did.
Yeah.
But like you said, he was full of energy. He
he was unbelievable. He was annoyingly fit.
Huh?
But he was annoyingly fit. But then again, there was people. But then again, you look at people. There's other people who I think that people like that is like. You look at Telf. You know what I mean? Telf was so fit he could run until the cows come home. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the way Mickey was when we used to do long running. Because I couldn't do long running. They made it just look so easy.
What is it? Is it Nathan Jones that said Telf had the record at Luton for cross country or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He had the record for 12-minute run, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got how many laps he do in 12 minutes. I don't know what it was.
Well, I'd be doing like 7.5. I think he's touching 13.
He was just a machine. But Mickey Gray was a good player, like you said. I think Reedy obviously pushed him back because it wasn't a time where there was a lot of left backs. But I think maybe, I don't know, Ashley Cole. But he was underrated. I feel when you said that, Andrew, is that not that it was that not good. It's just that I think there was too many other left backs at the time.
Yeah, I mean,
probably way like ahead of him, sort of thing. In performance wise, probably like one being Ashley Cole, no doubt.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would have got a lot more.
Yeah, he got that couple of. I think he got a few caps in that gap between Sailor So and Ashley Cole, probably in that gap there.
Yeah.
But awesome.
Then again, you look at Ashley Cole got about 100. He's over 100, isn't he?
Yeah.
So what chance have he really got? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like Marv, I always thought as a crowd always chanted Marv for England. You know what I mean?
How many caps did you think Marv got?
He should have got more when he got.
See, look, there's a true mate. See, look, the true mate there. See.
And a very political answer. Love it. Love it. Excellent. So we go to centre backs. Either way,
this is a hard one because there's a player in there who that he moved from centre back to midfield, but I think the only reason I suppose I'm going to put this centre back in is
hard as nails.
Because
tough as nails, hard as nails. This one,
hard as nails. Don't. Even in training, he used to kick the absolute out of me, and like slow woes, don't do it. There was a game tomorrow and all that. And obviously, he's you might probably know who he is, Marv.
I know. Let's see if Andrew knows. Andrew knows. Let's see if Andrew knows.
Oh, I haven't got much clue so far. He's hard.
Okay. He's still at the club that I played for. Did he
play for Portsmouth as well?
He did play for Portsmouth as well. Yes. Yeah. Played for Portsmouth. I think he's had 2 clubs in his career. And I would say in the modern day now, you'd probably get sent off after about 2 minutes. I mean, people think that Vinnie Jones and all that. I can remember we played Wimbledon in the FA Cup, and they're coming down the tunnel and all oiled up and all, and giving it all the boom boxes and all that. And I can remember just looking at him and just thinking, and he was just transfixed on these 2 players, thinking, it's all right. Yeah, I'm happy with this. And on the pitch, he was, and on that day, they didn't get no change out of him at all.
I think he's one of the, when you talk about underrated, I'm telling you now, this guy is underrated as a hard man. And he's not, and I don't know him personally, but he doesn't go around to say, look at me, I'm the hard man. It was just like, you just knew when you played, he was going to go he was going for the ball, and if he got you at the same time, then unlucky to you. This guy is like,
go on, Mark, who is it?
Kevin Ball.
Bally.
Yeah. I'm down as a midfielder. I didn't realise.
Yeah, that's what he said.
I didn't realise he could even play at centre back. I never entered my mind that he could play at centre back.
I can remember, Marv. Can you remember the times that we played Sunderland, and the 2 centre backs were? This is where Sunderland sent me. The centre backs were Kevin Bally and Terry Butcher. And they kicked the absolute. I mean, my shirt was ripped off. I had blood in my nose. Had a black eye, and I think I just kept coming. I just kept going back for more and more and more. And I think I remember Bally just used to kick me. And I don't know. He just, even when I went to somebody, he says, "I just love kicking you." I don't know what it is. He says, and he, as I say, kicked me in training just for the sake of kicking me. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was.
Kicking you. I love kicking you. It's funny. But yeah, he was hard as nails. Definitely.
To be honest, on the pitch, as I said, I can remember Justin Fashanu, because obviously it really put him in midfield, but obviously I knew him as a centre back when he first went there. The first probably 18 months at Sunderland, he was a centre back, but then really put him in midfield, like a holding midfield player. And I can remember Fashanu trying to muscle him off the ball, and I can remember Bally just holding him down with his arm like that and not letting him move at all. And Fashanu trying to get up, and Bally's like that, and you could see the strain in his face. But that's the way Bally was. I mean, he used to love, like, we had a fella called Ian Rogerson as well, who was from Herefordshire, and Bally used to be on him. What's the SAS like? Do you ever see them about and all that there? Bally's the type of person that would want to go and carry the Bergen on his back, and he'd run for miles and miles and miles and not give up. Even if we were injured, he'd be, and the physio would turn and say, right, we're in the gym, lads, and do this, 20 minutes on the bike, see how far you get, do 50 press-ups, this, that, and the other. Bally would always want to finish first. What time do you do? What time do you do it in? All right, Bally, do you know what I mean? You know, we're rehabilitating. Do you know what I mean? He'd be on the bike, and he'd want to get there 10 minutes before everyone else. That's the way Bally was. Banana. He was brilliant. I mean, he's still at Sunderland now. He's fantastic.
I think
But he
Alec had
was.
him in his team. I think Alec had him in his team as well.
Did he?
I could be wrong. I mean,
Mark, if you played with him, you had
Yeah.
to. He
Yeah.
was like people that talk about. I mean, I heard about you listen to the Spurs and Chelsea game about people like Roy Keane saying, not people grabbing people by the scruff of the neck. Bowley on the pitch was like, you see sometimes that Dave Mackay, he was that sort of a character, the Dave Mackay sort of character that kicked everybody and was a good player at the time.
Yeah.
Was a good player. Was a good player. He could pass the ball both feet. Probably and things like that. He was a good player.
Yeah.
Good ball.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Next to Kevin Ball is
This is a real hard one.
Marvin Johnson.
Real hard one.
I've got what I'm thinking. If he's picking his team, like he's got one like who's quite tough. You need a little bit of a player, like a baller sort of player. One. There's one who just springs to mind. Well, there's two. Obviously, one's a good friend of ours, and then the other one is he played with at Sunderland and maybe even at Oxford with. I'm thinking of. I don't know if he was.
Yeah, see,
No?
that's a tough one.
Did you think he was quality?
Unbelievable. See with the ball, he was so calm. He never used to get a sweat on. I have to put him in. I have to because he played. He played for Wales.
Yes, he has to be
70,
in there.
80 times. He played in. I have to put him in. He was, as you say, to have them two players.
Got it, Andrew?
Interact with each other. And
No. What, played at Oxford as well?
Sunderland, Oxford.
He started at Swansea.
That's right.
And then he went to Oxford. And he actually went the same year to Sunderland that I went.
He played for Wales, I don't know, 80 or 70.
Yeah, 70, 80 times.
What was Melville? Was it?
Yeah, there you go.
Is it Melville? Yeah. Andy Melville. Yeah. Yeah.
That's another player I feel is underrated because, like, he was so, like you said, on the ball, calm, but on the other side of the things, he would compete, he would be tough, he'd tackle and that.
Oh, God, so, yeah.
I know Sunderland is...
But the other side of the coin, where Bowley, even in training, would want to kick you, and Mel would be like, okay, yep. But Mel would come and say, you know, I could have got that. I go, yeah. You know, I could have thrown that away. Yeah. I just don't want to kick you. I don't want you to stand on my toe. Do you know what I mean? Mel was that sort of just laid back sort of character, but bringing the ball out, things like that. I could have put a few in there. I mean, even at one stage, Richard Ord had everything. He could kick you. He could bring it out. And then you've got people like Big Mac and people like that.
And Chris Fairclough, did you play with him?
Yeah, Chrissy. Well, I played not really. He was Mamba.
Okay.
He was. I mean, Mamba was a gentle giant, but strong as an ox.
What about Gary Mabbott?
Gary Mabbott, yeah.
Mabsy. I mean, you're talking they're way up there, but I never really played. I probably played a couple of times. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Steve Davis? What about Steve Davis?
Steve-O, Steve-O was another one.
Yeah.
Steve-O was.
That's what I thought you'd go for when you spoke about ball playing. That's what I thought you'd go for.
Yeah, Steve-O scored probably the most centre half I played with that scored more goals.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's hard to. I mean, it's just. But I suppose I'm thinking about it because of the Sunderland days. It was more. Yeah. What we done together. When we got promoted that year, even as I say, that year was Shea and people like that. And as I said, I could have put Alec in because Alec was there for 2/3 of the season and things like that. But it is people like that, I suppose. It's hard. It's hard. I mean,
it's hard. See, it is hard now. See, looking back now, it's hard.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, there's people in there that I could probably think, oh my God, Jesus.
Jerry Taggart, Aaron Hughes.
Jerry Taggart. Tags?
Aaron Hughes. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Which, do you know what I mean? Because I've been trying to think international, but I was going back that far.
Yeah.
I was going back to the Alan McDonalds, the people like that. Do you know what I mean? The Nigel Worthingtons.
What was it like to get the cap 5 years after the other ones? Was it a bit surreal? To come back and and play.
So is that how long it was? 5 years?
It wasn't that. It was there was something that happened on Andrew behind the scenes.
Right. Okay.
Obviously, it more or less got me out of the way of the international scene. So I don't know, Marv. I don't know if you know. You must know.
No, I don't know.
I'm not going to say. I'm not.
No, you don't have to.
No, that's fair enough. No, that's fair enough.
Fine.
But so was it? What I mean is, was it? So obviously, you talk. What I'm getting at is you're talking about picking players, but it must have been weird to come back on the scene and have almost a whole generation change. Like you started your career at Northern Ireland with Mal, Donaghy, and people like that, and now suddenly you've got Aaron Hughes, Steve Robinson. You're talking about David Healy and people like that.
Yeah, all people like that. You're talking. God, yeah, it was surreal. Obviously, I think had 3 managers in the time, because realistically, the last manager who left me out was Brian Hamilton.
Yep.
And then realistically, I never played. He had another 2 or 3 years and never picked me for reasons other reasons. And then you had Laurie McManamy.
God, he was manager. Laurie Mac.
Yeah, and then you had Sanchez and people like that, and then obviously
Sanchez,
Sammy McElroy, which it was Sammy who brought me back in. Yeah,
but was it weird kind of going from the younger, not younger one at the time, but then to come back as almost the elder statesman as well? You came back and almost had to play that role.
I was. I went in there at the age of, I think I made my debut 21.
Yeah.
21, 22, because I was at Luton when I first made my debut. Denmark, 92, World Cup qualifier. And there was people like Mal, the Quinny, all the older sort of Kevin Wilson. And then, obviously I played up for them. I think I played 26 times, which I went through for about 3 or 4 years, about 4, maybe even 4 or 5 years, because there wasn't as many internationals as there was. Yeah. And then obviously something happened, and then I got left out. I had 25 caps, I think, or 24 caps.
Yep.
And then I got left out for that reason. And that, as I say, and when I went back in, there was obviously, I think it was 31 the last time I made. So I think I didn't play again after 26, and then I didn't play again. I didn't play again until I was 31, I think.
Yeah, so it was 5-year gap. Wow.
Yeah,
how many caps did you get? How many caps did you get after?
After
31 onwards.
None. After that, after I scored the Malta goal, the winner against Malta, came on sub and scored the winner against Malta. I don't think I got another cap. I don't think. Or America came on sub against Iceland or somebody like that. I travelled, but I didn't think I got on again.
So did you play for the country all the way through to it as a schoolboy and then under 21s and then under 23 and all that?
I started as a 15-year-old. That was another story. I got kicked out of the under 15s because obviously I went. Obviously, you done trials. I started with like 100 or the regional trials, and then it got down to. And we used to have a place down in Coleraine. It was like a Lilleshall sort of thing. It was like Coleraine University, and that's where we used to gather. And I got down to about the last. I think it was 33, but one of the school lads who I used to go to school with got invited as well, and me and him just messed about and things like that. So in the end, I got kicked out. I got from the 33, they were bringing the squad down to 23, and I got kicked out. I never got chosen. I never got chosen.
Wow.
So, and I just carried on.
Just from being a larrikin.
Yes, and just messing about and things like that. But then I used to play for the Belfast schoolboys, and they normally play Northern Ireland schoolboys at North Road, where George Best used to get spotted from Bob Bishop, and we played that day. The Belfast schools played that day against Northern Ireland schoolboys, and I scored a hat trick. We beat them 3-2 on a Saturday morning.
And that was you back in now?
And then I got a phone call. The school got a phone call to say, would I like to go back and have another trial? So join the 23. And I can remember Mr. Williamson and Herbie Art turned around and said to me, don't go back, you'll just get disappointed again. You'll get disappointed. But I knew in my head it wasn't me. If I didn't have this other pupil or my friend who came from the school to me, I knew I would be okay.
Right.
So in the end, I said, no, I'm going back. So I went back, and in the end, I played all the games. They took me in, and I played all the games against England, Scotland, Wales, Republic of Ireland, and Switzerland, and I scored 4 or 5 goals. 5 goals in international. So that's where it started, Marv. Yeah, 15 it was. Do you know what? I found the blazer up the stairs, the international schoolboy blazer. It's like there. There.
And I know we've digressed a little bit, but was that how Spurs spotted you and you came up to Spurs, or was that another story? Well, listen, let's go.
That's another story. All right, no, let me tell you this story then.
Go on,
I've done the same. I was at Arsenal from 12, and I've done the same. It was the same sort of thing, because obviously I used to go over every summer holidays, school holidays, Christmas for the week, and I've been over there probably 2 or 3 years, and every time I seem to go over there, I seem to get in a little bit of spot of bother.
Wherever you go, you get into bother.
And so I used to get into a little bit, not bad, just not.
No,
when they say go to bed, be in your room for 9. Unfortunately, I wasn't, and things like that. And the one year but they used to turn around and say to me, Philip, every time during the week, you're messing about, you're doing this, and then when it came to the game at the end, we played like 11v11. I'd go and score a couple of goals, and they'd be saying, we have to keep you on, but they'd be pulling their hair out because I wasn't, as I said, going to bed and all that. And this one time, it was Charlie Nicholas's younger brother, Steve, and I was rooming with him, and like we were just messing about. And then that was the last straw. They turned around and said to me, right, we've had enough now. We're gonna not take you on. So I walked away. Not that I didn't feel bad or I didn't feel things like that, because probably maybe I thought it was good enough anyway. But so I ended up getting released at the age of 15 from Arsenal as a schoolboy.
Yeah, and then you walked straight across North London and signed. Was it straight away to Spurs?
I didn't actually, because I ended up going to Glasgow Rangers because one of my mates from Belfast was at Glasgow Rangers, and I thought, do you know what? I'll go up there. So I went up there a few times, trained with the reserves and things like that. And obviously an old player who I played with was there, Derek Ferguson and people like that, who ended up coming to Sunderland. Yeah. Fergie, obviously I knew Fergie because Fergie was only a year older than me, but he was 16. And Ian Durant and Robert Flack and all that I was training with them. So the situation I'll cut it short. They invited me to go to Switzerland for an under-21 tournament and more or less sign schoolboy forms and apprentice. But I got a phone call from Spurs in the same week, and they turned around and said, do you want to come over? And I thought to myself, do you know what? I'll go to Spurs instead. Even though I knew there was a contract waiting for me at Glasgow Rangers, and I took the gamble and went to Spurs, and the gamble paid off because I didn't have a better week training. Ended up training with the youth team, then the reserves, and then I ended up playing against the first team on the Friday morning, doing shadow play, and then I played for the youth team against Bristol Rovers on the Saturday and scored a hat-trick. And then they came over on the Monday, and I ended up signing a 1-year apprentice and 1-year pro, and that's how I ended up there.
Ooh, fantastic. That's great. So what we're going to do is we're going to pause there, and then when we come back for the second part, we'll hear the rest of Phil Gray's My Best 11.
Hi, my name is Kevin Nichols.
Hi, my name is Kingsley Black.
Hi, my name's Rebecca Lowe.
Hi, my name's Tony Thorpe.
My name's Graham Alexander.
I'm David Oldfield.
Hi,
My name's Steve Davis.
My name's Carl Emberson.
Hey, it's Emerson Boyce here.
Hi, my name's Stephen Robinson.
My name is Andy Kiwomia.
And you're listening to my best.
And you are listening to my best.
To my best
11 podcast.
And you're listening to my Best 11 podcast.
Great, so we're back for part 2 of my Best 11 podcast with Phil Gray. I'm going to hand straight over to Marv for Marv's 60 seconds. Over to you, Marv.
Favourite stadium you've ever played in?
Favourite stadium I've ever played in?
Yeah.
For what reason? For winning the game?
Just a game, but what game? Well, not just what, just a stadium which you've enjoyed playing.
It was probably Jesus. Well, for personal reasons, I would probably say in Copenhagen, Denmark.
Okay. VAR or no VAR?
No VAR.
Penalty shootout or golden goal?
Penalty shootout.
Messi or Ronaldo?
George Best.
I know this answer already to this one. Favourite other sport?
Golf.
See. Bundesliga, La Liga, or Serie A for quality? Which one?
Bundesliga.
If you wasn't a footballer, what would you have been?
Fireman.
The funniest ever player, teammate, or whatever. Funny teammate.
Funniest ever. God, Mark, Jesus Christ. Funniest ever player. Do you know what? Probably Don Goodman.
Don Goodman. Okay, and
last one.
Okay. Sunderland versus Newcastle, Burnley versus Preston, or Luton versus the yellow team. Which derby is your favourite? Which one to choose one?
Sunderland, Newcastle.
Okay. So golf is your favourite sport other than football? Do you play for handicap?
No, not really. I just like to play the game. I don't have an official handicap, but I'm a member of the club next door, but I don't put in the cards. I just like to play it. I just like to get out and play it, and it's probably a bit of exercise as well.
Fantastic. So what we're going to do is we can jump straight back into your best 11. So far, Phil has picked Shay Given, Mal Donaghy, Michael Gray, Kevin Ball, and Andy Melville. So it's up to you if you want to start in the middle or on the wings. You're cool.
Whatever.
I'll go on the wings. I'll go right winger.
Yep.
All
right. There's a couple here I could have put in. Obviously, a friend of mine as Bob. You know him, Oaksey. Could have put him in. There's a few I could have put in. There's a couple of Sunderland ones I could have put in, even like Craig Russell or people like that, or Martin Smith, people like that. Unbelievable players as well. But the one I probably went for is he used to play for the Black and Whites.
You played for Man United as well?
Did indeed, yes. Yep. A good old friend of mine, yep.
He was part of the Andy Cole swap deal, wasn't he?
He was indeed, yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Go on, Andrew. Go on. We got it. Go on.
Keith Gillespie.
Yes.
Yes. Go on, Marv.
I was just say, I remember you were very close to him. You two were close through like growing up and playing internationally, but he was like a little bit of I don't know, a wonder kid sort of thing, wasn't he? Because he was young when he was at United, wasn't he? Young, but
he broke into the first team, I think, when he was 16, 17. He was probably highly regarded more than like your Beckhams and your Butts and your Scholes.
Yes.
And he got into the first team first and things like that. So, I mean, he was, he was incredibly quick. I mean, he was lightning. He never used to touch the ground. It just seemed as if the only person I've ever seen run like that again is Henri.
Yeah.
The first time I played against Henri, he was 18 when I was in France when he was at Monaco. I've never seen anything run so quick in all my life. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable.
Do you think that, obviously you know him a little bit, do you think that he'd have been better off staying at United? Or do you think it was good for him to go to Newcastle at the time? Because obviously Newcastle were massive at the time. So people who are thinking of Newcastle these days, that's not what Newcastle were back then.
Well, just to go a little bit before that, Andrew, if you look at Newcastle sold Andy Cole and they wanted Keith. Andy Cole had scored like 40 odd goals.
Yeah.
And for them to turn around and for the staff like Kevin Keegan to turn and say, okay, we'll sell Andy Cole for $7 million, but we want this kid, Keith Gillespie. I mean, that must have been massive for them to let him go and to bring Keith in. But I remember talking to Keith years ago about it, and he says, well, there's people like, because they sold Kanchelskis and things like that, who, I mean, at that season, before they sold him, he was unbelievable. I think he got something like 16 goals, 17 goals. He was unbelievable. But then you look at, you always think, are you better off going somewhere else? Because you get more respect and you get more sort of, not respect, but I always think if you go up at the same club for all your life, you don't get treated as if you get treated as if the club bring you in on a big transfer. It's totally different the way I think, the way clubs.
You don't feel as wanted? Do you think it's almost as you don't feel as wanted?
Yes, yeah, it is. Sometimes you can. I know Marv was a one club man, and maybe Marv will be able to tell me that more than anyone else, because I always thought if I moved club, you got that sort of little bit of more respect maybe from the crowd, from the club itself. But for Keith to move in that situation, I thought it was fantastic. And personally, if it had been myself, yes, I'd have done the same. I'd have moved.
Yeah.
No, I'm just going back to a couple of points what Tippy just said there. The first one being about getting treated better. I think is 100% right. I mean, I'm not saying that I didn't get treated like well by Luton. I'm just saying that as a whole, if someone was going to come in, and it's always known that if you was a homegrown player, you didn't seem to get like the kind of service, shall we say, then like if someone was going to come in and they've paid big money for them, it's just the way it went. You know, at the time, obviously, you do get a little bit like, what's the word? Not like upset.
Your nose gets put out a little.
Yeah, disappointed. But but now, obviously, when I look back now on my career, it's like I'm kind of happy that I stayed at one club and it's something kind of special, which probably was not going to happen ever again for anyone to do that sort of thing. And I know there's myself and there's Benali at Southampton, Letizia at Southampton. They all said at one, and we obviously played against each other in the South East County. So I'm sure when they look back now in their careers, especially someone of like Letizia's ability, he must have had like many of opportunities to maybe have moved to some top clubs. But at the time, he's probably thinking, I should have gone to maybe them or should have gone to them. But now I'm thinking and guessing, if he looks back on his career now, he'll be thinking, you know what? I'm so happy that I'm a one club man and I've had all those years to be affiliated with that club.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. So you got Keith Gillespie on the right. Who's on the left?
Mm-hmm. I would say there's another thing I could put in there. There's loads, but I'm going to go with someone who I thought was like a little magician. He was. He started off at. I think he started off at Man City as a kid. And he ended up going to play for West Ham.
Yes.
Scored a very important goal for West Ham.
Did he play for Northern Ireland as well?
He did.
I didn't know he was at Man City though. Jeez, this one.
Started at Man City, yeah. He went and played in France, and he was treated like he was unbelievable in France.
And you got it. I don't know if I got it.
You've thrown me. So he played at Man City
as a kid.
And he played for Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
And he played for West Ham.
The only player I
was the little magician.
And he played in France.
That's the one that throws me.
I'm gonna just say it then. I think it's him, but I didn't think he was at Man City. Michael Hughes.
That's the one. Mickey Hughes. Yeah.
I didn't know he was at Man City.
I didn't know in France.
Yeah, I knew. I didn't think he was at Man City. I didn't know that.
He went from Man City.
Was a little bit.
Yeah, he went from Man City. Strasbourg paid a lot of money for him to go from Man City. Do you not remember playing? We played against them, Marv. You must have played against them.
Yeah. I remember at West Ham and all them. Yeah, but I don't
you must have played. You played against them at, I think, City in the old First Division.
I see.
He's about 17 or 18 he was then.
But like you see, he was like, I remember more times like the David Whites and I don't remember Mickey Hughes back then when I was like young, similar to my age, like the David White, and there was someone else on the other wing. It wasn't him. Summerby, that's our son, was the other one.
Okay, yeah, Nicky.
Yeah, maybe Mickey played them in afterwards.
Mickey. Before that.
Was he before that? Was he?
Yeah, he ended up. I think they bought him at like 17.
Okay, all right. I mean, what
he could do on the training pitch with the ball, and I mean, you had one taking players on. Like Keith could take players on in and out and pace. Mickey, his left foot was unbelievable.
Yeah,
and he was quick, wasn't he? He was quick as well, wasn't he?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. And he could score. His free kicks, like I remember him playing away at Portugal away, and him scoring a free kick and all that. And when he used to come up against the good teams, the Germans and all that, he'd be outstanding. He was outstanding. They'd be like, hold on a second there.
So who, as a striker, did you prefer to play with wingers, kind of the old-fashioned wingers who whip the ball in? Is that what you used to like, that service?
That's why I would say, that's why I would go 4-4-2.
Yeah. And what did that provide you with? What attribute of yours do you think was kind of the strongest attribute you had, and how did the wingers take advantage of that?
I suppose I was for my size and stature, I probably was quite good in the air, and probably people really never thought I was that good in the air. So maybe I had a little, and I was quite brave. So I didn't mind putting my head in where some of the boots were flying. So I would used to like get crosses in. I used to like, I'm putting the ball in early. Things like that. And
I remember a few diving headers and things like that.
Yeah. I remember Keith was one of the ones who would put the ball in straight away. He wouldn't cut back or anything like that. As soon as he got a yard, he would whip it in.
Yeah.
Where Mickey was more tricky. Mickey he'd want to beat one or two players and then he'd come back and want to beat them again. Do you know what I mean? But you loved them for that. So you loved them for that. But it was, I mean, there's other left wingers you could put in there that I played with. I mean, Kingsley, Joey Beauchamp at Oxford. Do you know what I mean? There's a few in there, but it's the people that I'm picking out. There's things that stick in my head. You know what I mean? They had that sort of stature, sort of class. Do you know
the X factor, to use the bad pun. Yeah. Fantastic. So we're going to the middle, central midfields.
There's, I mean, to be honest, there's loads. There's loads. I mean, I could pick Jimmy Chilton.
Are you putting the one in what we mentioned earlier on, what we guessed?
I have to.
All right, give some clues, because we haven't given the one. This was off air, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is off air. Give some clues. Yeah, this one.
So give some clues.
Yeah. Well, the clues for obviously I played with him abroad, and obviously he went on. Thank you. captain his country, and I think he played for Barcelona.
PSV? Did he play for PSV as well?
I think he might have. Now, in that year, there was 4 or 5 young lads that actually went on to play for Holland.
Wow.
So
All of Fortuna Sittard.
Yep.
Were they known as a feeder club then?
They were.
Yeah.
They were. You had Patrick Powell, you had the other one I'm talking about, you had Fernando Rickson, you had, I think there was a couple of, another one that, in fact, I think when I was there, Man United came to look at one of the young lads, I think he was 16.
Van der Wert, is it? Robert Van der Wert? Was he there?
I think he was, yeah.
Wow.
Right, anyway, go on, Andrew. Go on, Andrew. You said it to him so everyone knows now.
Mark Van Bommel.
That's correct. Yeah.
Wow, what a player.
And was he like stand out there, Tip, when he was there? Or was he a stand out
God,
player?
yeah. He when you talk about statures and kicking people as well, Marv, he wasn't he'd wear shin pads in training. He would. He'd wear shin pads in training.
Because everybody kicks him.
No, because he kicked everyone.
Yeah, wasn't he one of the main instigators in the 2010 World Cup final against Spain? Remember that one that turned into an absolute joke of there are about 20 yellow cards in the game. I think he was captain of the Dutch team in that when the Dutch played the Spanish. He was captain. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was, but he was. I mean, he was so. The Dutch are so straight laced and so. I mean, to get a laugh and a joke out of them sometimes it's hard. Do you know what I mean? But and come to training, they were so serious. Where you know what it's like, Marv, in training. What all you want to do is have a laugh and a joke. But do you know what I mean? And the manager that we had was Penn Perbeek, God rest his soul, as well. And obviously there was Mark Berkman was there, Berkey was there, and Jeff and all 2 English lads. And we'd have a laugh and a joke, but these were so straight faced and shin pads on, and do you know what I mean? And not a laugh and a joke, but took it really serious. And obviously, look where he ended up. I mean, he was a good player. You could just tell on the ball and things like that. He used to just get the ball off the back foot all the time, pass it long, pass it short, and things like that. So he was, but there's a few in there. I mean, some of the players that played with. I mean, you're talking like Jim Magilton.
Yeah.
But Neil Lennon. Lenny.
Yeah.
Stevie Lomas.
Stevie Lomas, yeah, that's true.
Do you know what I mean? Derek Ferguson, Fergie.
I'm not going to rattle too many off because you've still got one more to pick.
You
still got more to pick in there. Yeah.
Going back to what Andrew mentioned earlier on about going abroad and playing, yeah. So how did that? I mean, obviously you had a great time at Sunderland and scored quite a lot of goals, and so you must have been at the top of a few clubs' list. Why Nancy, and then obviously you went on to Fortuna Sittard? How did that come about? Those moves?
Well, to be honest, we've just been promoted to the Premier League. I think I got injured for the last 5 games at Dunmagroin, so I never played the last 5 games. I think I played 36 or 37 games that season. And we've been promoted to the Premier League, and the club offered me a new contract, but it wasn't the contract that I wanted. They offered me 2 years, and obviously really pulled me and says, like, we can't really offer you 3 years because we might get relegated next year. So he says, I'll give you 2 years, and I wasn't happy with 2 years. I wanted 3 years. I thought I deserved a 3-year contract. So in the end,
sorry. Was before your injury? Was you top goal scorer that season or not? I don't know.
Yeah.
Just trying to.
Yeah.
You was.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Me and Craig Russell, I think we 16, 17 each, something like that. So we had Craig Russell went on to do very well. Me and Craig played up front, and we had a really good partnership. Obviously, when Don Goodman left, he promoted Craig, because Craig used to play on the left wing, and he was good. Me and Craig had a fantastic. He was a younger lad. He was 3 or 4 years younger than me, and played
right.
well
Yes,
together.
I interrupted you there. Sorry. Go on. So you didn't give you the 2 years, and though
he didn't give me the 2 years, so I thought to myself, okay, so I'll not sign it. So it's one of them things. And obviously circumstances as well that my private life as well. Another reason why I didn't sign it. But I could have went to a couple of other clubs. I think Ozzy Ardiles was at West Brom at the time, and he tried to sign me, but Sunderland wanted too much money for me because it was on a free transfer, and I think in them days it didn't really a tribunal. It was just this is what they wanted, and there was other couple of clubs. I mean, I think I could have went to Southampton, and obviously I think the old gaffer David Pleat was at Sheffield Wednesday, so it was one of them. But they still wanted, because it was out of contract, Sunderland still wanted £1 million for me.
Right.
So in the end, obviously the Bosman ruling came out. So I ended up leaving on a free transfer to go to Nancy.
Yeah.
I could have went to Fortuna Sittard as well, and I could have went to Munich 1860 as well. So there was 3 clubs I was going to, and Fortuna Sittard wanted me to sign a 3-year contract, and Munich 1860 wanted me to sign a 3-year contract, but Nancy turned around and says, look, we can send it on a 2-year contract. And I was like, humming and hawing, because what I really had plans to do was maybe go there for a year and come back. Just obviously because it was a free transfer. Go there for the year, do well, and come back into the English League. So in the end, I ended up signing the 1 year for I says, look, if I sign for 1 year, will you sign? And they said, okay, we'll do 1 year. So I ended up doing 1 year for Nancy. But obviously, when you go abroad, if you sign 1 year for like a European club, obviously it's the same here in this country now. In them days, in the early 90s, was it early 90s or mid 90s?
Mid-90s, yeah.
Mid 90s. As soon as you passed December the 31st, you can go and sign for another club. So realistically, I only had to do 6 months at Nancy before I could go and agree with another club.
Right.
But I never knew that until obviously I got my feet under the table in Nancy. And to be honest, I must admit, I loved it. I loved Nancy. I loved the French way of life. We trained hard, but we worked hard, but you rested in the afternoon. You used to go to games on a Thursday. Obviously, you used to fly to most of them because they're all big country. And we'd go on a Thursday and we'd play on a Saturday night. But, and that's the higher reason I ended up going there.
And you loved your wine.
I did. Yeah, that was another reason why.
Excellent. And how's your French?
Bonjour.
And that'll be it, Andrew. That's all. That'll be the maximum he knows. Or he'll know the word more, what it is. Fill it up more, or fill it up or more. Wine.
Grande. Was it not Grande? Grande's French. Spanish,
the lads just made me. It was one of the lads there, which was Christophe Robert, and he was in the. Remember the scandal about?
Yes. He was married to a model. What was that model? That blonde there. The blonde girl. What was her name? Because he had like the French winger, wasn't he? Was he a winger?
He was a winger, Christophe Robert, but he was the one that was in the. There was 3 of them in the scandal about the Champions League when they didn't vote against Monaco, but they didn't try because he was at Monaco and they were playing Marseille, and I think in one of the Champions League's quarterfinals, and they ended up didn't try and they got done. They got done for backhanders, didn't they? And he ended up having to go and play in Colombia for a year, but he came back to Nancy. But he used to all the words he used to tell me was all the bad words, like on the pitch, like you know what I mean. All the bad words, so we could tell them to the other players. But I enjoyed France. I must admit, the 6 months, 8 months I was there, I really enjoyed it.
Fantastic. So who's next to Van Bommel?
There's loads I could put in, but I'm putting this one in because he knew the way I played. He got the best out of me. This lad, this fella, little magician. He actually got the best out of me. He knew how I played, and he played so simple as well. He made the game look so easy.
I think when you said the word little, I think you mean the word mini.
Correct. Yep.
Yes. Marvin?
I do. God rest his soul and all.
Priest,
Yeah, God
Kevin
rest his soul.
Priest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
He knew how I played. He just turned around and said to me, "Give me the ball and you run. As soon as you give me the ball, you just run that way and I'll put the ball on a plate for you." And many a times he did. And he just made the game look so easy. He did. I'd just give him the ball. I'd come up to me, I'd roll it back, and he'd just turn around and say, "Run," and he'd just leave it in the hole. And it's just the way he was. He was, man. He was brilliant. He got the best out of me. I think it was him who got me my move from Luton to Sunderland.
Yeah, he was a fantastic player, and he's held in such high regard, I think. And it's interesting, even from outside of the club, and especially a little club like Luton, but it's really interesting when his name's still thrown around the place.
I mean, you look, when you look back at the players that played for England and whatnot, I never ever really got a sniff of. I know there was people like Ray Wilkins and Hoddle and people like that in the middle of the park, and
I think he got a couple of B caps, didn't he? He got a couple of B caps.
He got a couple of B caps.
Was there a worry about him being too small, that England needed big, strong players, hence why they played a Brian Robson and a Ray? Do you know what I mean? Those type of players who could put themselves about. Creasy could, but he didn't have that rep to do it.
No, he didn't. He was more.
Go on. I was going to say something there.
It's like It's like he was the type of player that, in them days, I suppose, you could get kicked and punched and everything. He never used to head the ball, many, did he? Well, he used to head it, but how often did you see him? If he headed it once in a game, do you know what I mean? He'd rather try and control it, bring it down and things like that. But, you had players like Ray Wilkins and Brian Robson and your Glenn Hoddle. You look at Glenn Hoddle, he didn't get many. He should have. He really didn't get as many caps as he should have. He should have got for the era and things like that. But in them days, you had loads. You had unbelievable, really. You'd look at like even the players that. There's a player that I've left out that I've just remembered, Paul Bracewell.
I was going to say, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Paul Bracewell. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and I haven't picked Brace only because I'm picking the team on my own memories, on my own sort of things that I remember. But Brace, Reedy, all playing for England in them days, is unbelievable. So,
no,
but it is. Yeah, he was up against it, but as I said, for me, he for my personal reason as well, he was fantastic for me as well.
Excellent.
Brilliant.
Excellent. So you're up to your strikers. Who are your two players up front?
There's a few I played with, but one no doubtedly who I played with was the old famous one, isn't he? The old Luton legend as well.
Yep. Yes.
Super Mick.
Yeah. Definitely.
You have to tell the story though about. I think it might have been when one of the first early games. I think it was against Sheffield Wednesday. The centre half. What Mick? I don't know if you can remember what Mick did, and then he goes to if he you
gets back up again. Yeah, I can remember. Well, there was a few. You look at the one against Notts County when Steve Cherry had blamed me for doing something, and obviously it was Mick as well. But then again, there was one. We were playing against Sheffield Wednesday, and it was Nigel Pearson.
That's it.
And Mick was getting annoyed because Nigel was very good in the air as well and quite strong. And Mick I could see it in his face, he was getting frustrated and he wasn't getting the best of him and things like that. And I remember in them days, that's when you could leave your foot in a little bit. And I remember he was just I think it was him and Warhouse that was playing at the back at the time. Nigel Pearson, and I can remember Nigel just trying to play the ball down the line and make absolutely, oh my God, I think he put him nearly in the stand. And I can remember Mick jumped up quickly and he looked at me and he came walking towards me and he turned around and he pointed at me and he went, see if he gets up. You hit him next. I went, okay, Mick, all right, I'll hit him next.
See if he gets up. You hit him next. Whoa.
But it was another time I playing with Mick, and I can remember you probably would have replayed. I think we were playing Birmingham away in the cup, and I forget the name of the big lad who he kept absolutely kicking lumps out of me, and I think Mick had just joined and he wasn't fit, but obviously David had put him on for about the last 15 minutes, and I forget the name of the centre half. And he'd been kicking me and booting me and grabbing me and things like this. And I can remember Mick coming on and Mick just looking at me going, Tippy. And as he looked at me, he just winked. And I was thinking, oh, okay, here, what's happening? And the next minute, the balls went up in the air and the centre half is on the deck with blood coming out of his nose. And I'm thinking, I just like, and the next minute he just looked at me and winked again. I thought, okay, here we go, yeah. And that was Mick for you. I mean, people talk about hard men in football and things like that. Mick is a gentle gent if you know him, but on the pitch, I mean, on the pitch, and he was the ultimate.
Yeah.
And for me, the old-fashioned centre forward. Do you know what I mean? He could do it all. That's the same another one that Mick never really got any.
Yeah.
I think caps for England as well. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them.
His touch, his volleying, his ball striking, like technique.
His hold-up play, his head and his everything. As I say, people that don't think oh, his head and all that. People didn't know how good he was on the ground.
No, definitely.
You know,
yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Mick Harford. Next to Mick Harford is.
I mean, this is a hard one. I've never really played with people like John Hartson because John didn't get into the team when I was there. He came a year after me, and obviously I played with people like Kerry Dixon and things like that. And I played with people like Don Goodman and people like that. I played with people with Jimmy Quinney and Derry. It's a few big names up there, but I'd probably have to turn around and say I played a few times with David Healy, and to be honest, David Healy's finishing was probably the best I've ever seen. I mean, he going back, I'd probably turn around and say the year that I was at Spurs and I sat in the stand, I was probably a 14th, 15th man and watched Clive Allen score 49 goals. His finishing that year was unbelievable, and David Healy's was just similar. I don't know, he was 5'9", wasn't overly quick, but just his finishing was surreal.
Yeah,
unbelievable, surreal.
Did he go on some ridiculous run for Northern Ireland as well?
Oh,
I know he's the record goal scorer, isn't he?
It'll never be beaten. Nobody will ever beat it. I mean, he scored a hat trick. He scored a hat trick against Spain.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He scored the winner against England. I mean, realistically, but Davey, his finishing was unbelievable.
Is he your pick, by the way? Is that what you're choosing? Is he?
I think so. Why? What did you have in mind, Mark?
No. I don't know if you played with him in that many, but similar to Healy, goal scoring, you just score time and time again. Ned Kelly.
Yeah, to be honest, see, that's another one. I could have picked Ned. I love Ned. His finishing was his left foot, his right foot. Me and Ned played the last year we got promoted to Sunderland. And Ned got injured. But he was,
Yeah.
he was up there. I mean, as I said, it's
Bridgie, I had a back of my money, young Bridges as well.
Michael Bridges, a young
Michael Bridges I
yeah.
played with. Yeah, I mean, he's the same. He came on the scene as well once Craig went out to the left. He promoted Bridgie, and I ended up playing with Bridgie for a good 6 or 7, 8, maybe 10 games.
Yeah.
But I suppose, when you
Did you play much with Gary Lineker coming through at Tottenham?
Once or twice.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really say that. I mean, if you're talking about people like that, I could have put in Gaza. I could have put in Chrissy Waddle. I could have put in people like that. But
what was that lad who come? I think he was from Belgium. You must have played with him. Centre forward, really quick. I think Tottenham paid a lot of money for him.
Redruff? No, not that.
No, Clausen.
No,
is it Clausen?
Nico Clausen.
Nico Clausen.
Nico Clausen. Oh my God! I played with him a couple of times.
That's what I'm saying. They paid big money for him, didn't they? Is it?
I think it was 900 grand they paid for him back in
it was
84, 85. Yeah. I think it played.
Was he from Belgium? Was it Belgium?
He was Belgium. Yeah. He was
any good? Was he any good?
He was.
Yeah.
He was quick, and he could strike a ball like.
Yeah, he could.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But there is so many. Do you know what I mean? I had a couple of good seasons with Don Goodman and things like that. Me and Don.
Yeah.
But and to be
I
honest,
think Healy, you're right. Healy's right. I mean, look, he's a record goal scorer, and like you said, he was a great finisher. And that probably won't be. If you're saying it won't be beaten, well,
and it's like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I didn't play loads of games with him. Do you know what I mean? Because I was a sub. So realistically, should I put him in? Only because, as I said, it's personal training with him and personal sort of accolades is the way I put most of them in. I would probably say Davy for his finishing, Mick and Davy. I mean, I don't think
work well together. Yeah.
Better partnership, but as you said, Marv, there's Ned, brilliant, great finisher. West Ham, Wolves, Sunderland, the lot.
Yes.
Fantastic players.
Fantastic. So my question for you now is, which manager did you work under that you think would be the best person to manage this team? So, or you can take it as who's the best manager you've ever played under. Your choice. And you can go all the way back. We've had people pick their under 15s coach. So you can go all the way back.
Yeah, we have had that. Yeah, we have had that. Yeah.
Jesus. It's hard to say. I mean, because I played under Terry Venables, David Plate, twice, Peter Reid. I played under Laszlo Bovene at Nancy. He played something like 120, I think it was 112 or 120 times for Romania. He played with people like Hadji and people like that. And I'll probably do it personal again. Probably somebody who got the best out of me. And the three best managers that got the best out of me was probably David Plate. I would say would be probably number one. I would say, and then probably Reedy treated me totally different to the way Pleady used to treat me, which I would say he got the best out of me as well. So I would probably turn around and say between David Plate and Peter Reid, who my personal preference was. But I would turn around and say probably for technical and things like that, I would probably turn around and say Pleady. Definitely without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, I mean, the times that he used to come into me, go up to the office, and he'd put me on remember I used to go up to the office sometimes and do that mental thing.
Yeah.
And things like that. And I used to think, oh, here we go again. But for me, it worked. Oaksy tried it, never worked for him.
Yeah.
But it used to work for me. And so I done it 3 or 4 times. But another person who I have to mention is John Moore.
Yeah.
He used to get, obviously when the gaffer used to do the team talks, and John would pull you to one side and he'd say, like, this is who you're playing against today. Steve Poole plays for England. you're better than him. Make sure you're better than him and all that. They used to give you that little lift of confidence and things like that. But yeah, different. But I could have picked 4 teams. You know what I mean?
Now that you think about it, yes, it does. But like, we appreciate you coming on, Jimmy. But we always end with one last question, just so that everyone, the teams, Sunderland, Luton, Northern Ireland, and all that know that you played for. What are you doing now since you've sort of like stopped playing, and what have you been up to apart from playing golf?
I had a business of bikes and cycle helmet business, which in fact it's just I've just finished it come April there, and actually I'm going from tomorrow. Actually, I'm going to do some work with a friend of mine who owns a building company.
I was going to say, I know obviously from our friendship that you do a lot of renovating and doing buying houses and stuff as well, like that.
Yeah. So I've just bought another bit. So I'm hoping to start that next year. But I want to go and try and get my teeth stuck into a few bits and pieces and help him and just get my feet under the table and maybe learn a few bits and pieces and things like that before I go and Anna gets me out of the house more if it's winter. You know, you can't play golf in the winter. Well, you can't. It's too cold. But so that's what I'm doing now. I'm going to help him from tomorrow.
Excellent.
So yeah, and hopefully I'll enjoy it.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I want to say thank you very much for myself and also on behalf of Marv as well and the listeners. So thank you very much, Phil. And that was Phil Gray's My Best 11.